Democrat coalition, about 104 Democrats, and if we do one thing, we get excited about innovation. But this is not an app that measures your heartbeat. This is a complete overhaul of the circulatory system of the global economy. So a lot of the concern you're hearing here, I think, is just around its sort of shocking ambition. And I want to ask you a specific question and take you through a specific scenario that gets at a larger concern that I have. And just so that folks at home can kind of follow along, let's just imagine that I'm an American user of Libra. And my rent is $1,000 a month. And just for simplicity's sake, let's say that this month it's 1,000 Libra a month. Now, because Libra is backed by a basket of currencies, let's just imagine that one of the currencies, sterling, devalues dramatically in 2 weeks. I think, if I recall my banking and economic days, that I will find that in the next month, my rent in Libra will be, let's just pick a number, 1,100 Libra, but still $1,000 a month. So you know what I'm getting at. Users will have the profoundly unfamiliar experience of assuming foreign currency risk. Am I correct in that?
Congressman, yes, there will be fluctuation, but the way that we're intending to design the reserve, again, in consultation with the G7 Working Group of Finance Ministries and central banks, is going to be in such a way that we have looked historically at the volatility that the dollar would have had in the last 20 years compared to Libra with the proposed basket. And if you look at the fact that half of the basket is dollars, it should be fairly stable. That being said...
But wait, you acknowledge, I got it, you acknowledge that consumers everywhere, users of Libra, will for the first time, if they have previously been using their domestic currency to purchase domestic goods, they will experience foreign currency risk.
They will have some degree of volatility.
Right. Okay, so my question, I think that's an important point for people to understand, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, but traditionally, the regulatory apparatus here has said that if you're going to assume an unfamiliar risk, that risk will be disclosed to you with full transparency. And the mechanism we have traditionally used to disclose that kind of risk is through public filings and disclosure. Now, you said this is not an exchange-traded fund. I'm a former banker. This looks to me exactly like an exchange-traded fund backed by a series of short-term instruments in foreign currency. It looks exactly like an ETF to me. It even has a creation and remittance mechanism. So elaborate for me on why this is not an exchange-traded fund, and if there's any ambiguity, what I really am getting at here is you need to clear, if in fact the regulators determine that it's an ETF, you need to clear 1940 Act registration hurdles, which that may sound technical, but that's designed to protect that rent payer who discovers that their rent went up for reasons they don't understand. So tell me why this is not an exchange-traded fund.
Congressman, 3 points of why we believe it is not. Despite the fact that you're right, that it uses some operational mechanisms that are similar, we believe that it is not, because Libra is a payment tool. And typically, if the question you're asking is whether we believe...
But wait, I need to stop you there. The SEC doesn't say if you're a payment tool, you're not an exchange-traded fund. The SEC says if you have a security that is backed by other securities, you're an exchange-traded fund. And you may quibble with me that you're not a security, but you're certainly backed by other securities. Is that not correct?
Congressman, it's mainly currencies, but I do want to answer your question. First, we believe that no one will buy Libra as an investment because it is designed for stability. That is number one. Number two is that when you look at the definition of the securities, or how we test, that has been used by the SEC, it actually uses the idea that you invest for a profit that will result in the management of the product. And this product is not a product, it's a payment tool. It's not going to be actively managed. And you cannot use an ETF for payments. This is actually designed as a payment tool to enable people to retain value, not to appreciate value.
So since I'm almost out of time, let's come back to my original question. How will you make transparent what you acknowledged is foreign currency risk that consumers will face? How do you envision doing that?
Congressman, as far as the Calibra wallet is concerned, you will have transparency and education built into the product.